Hi there, this is another video talking about the 2016-10-17, so October 17th CPC update. As you can see on the screen, there's three changes. Log group object, there's a new export feature which lets you export the trend information from the trend screen to a file, and this was actually added because Boeing Charleston had a D6 run where the data file was corrupted and did not save properly due to an error, a configuration error, basically. So I added a log group trending export feature, and there's a change to the trend setup form where you can actually export from there, and then there is another change to the PLC transfer object that deals with the string transfers that I'll go into. So I'm first going to go through the log group and the trend setup. So basically on the object editor, when you go to a logging object, so logging trend screen at the very bottom now, there's two added property and a method. So the method's called export data, and the export file is the file name and path names. So you could put C:\\export.txt. You want it to be a text file, and then if you double click on export data, it will export that to a tab delimited file, and I'll show you how that works. I'm going to blank this out for right now. So if I go over to the trend screen, I've got a trend screen here that has some information being trended. Get rid of that one. That's a bad thermocouple. So it's just a straight trend. It looks like there's probably 333 intervals. So if on the trend setup, you can see that there's a new button called Export Trend to File. So all I have to do is press that button. It requests that export path, which basically fills in that. So export.txt, press OK, and then you're done. So now if I go out to that file, I should see it there. There it is at the top, export file, open it up, and you'll see, now this is being opened in Notepad, but what you'll want to do actually is open up an Excel file. So you can come over and look, I'll just go to my desktop, open a new Excel file. There it is. Open it up, and the way that we're going to import that is using, if we come up, empty file, go to data, then input from text right here. Okay, we want to select that file, that export file right here, and it's gonna as a default be tab delimited, and you can see delimited, and it will be tab delimited, or it'll find it, and then basically just say next, and you see delimiters tab, which is what it's default to. Finish, and give it a location, and there you go. Okay, so that's got all the inputs that were trended on the log file being displayed there. So that's pretty cool. Let me just close that. So the next feature, let me bring up that update log here. So that's the log group object and the trend setup form. Now the next thing is strings. We talked about strings being transferred to the PLC. I just want to, I had mentioned that strings are a slow process because we have to do 2 communications for every 1 string. So one thing I added was a couple of new features. So if I go to my transfers object here, and I'm actually hooked up to a PLC right now, so I'm going to go show you my RS Logics. I'm in run mode. If I go to my text inputs table, you'll see I've preloaded it with 10 A's, 10 B's, 10 C's, 10 D's in the first element, and then 10 E's, 10 F's, 10 G's, H, and 1, 2, 3, 4 in the third element. So basically, the new feature lets you define a fixed length text field and then parse out individual portions of that for individual variables. So this is a 40. If I expose this, you'll see that this is a length of 40. Okay, and I preset that for 40. And And so within your PLC, what's nice about this is with one communication, I can read 3 or 4 text sections. So if you've got text that'll maintain within 20 characters, you can then use an 80 character string and just put those individual text pieces in there, and then CPC can read that entire string and then parse it. Okay, so what that looks like on CPC is on the text input here, you'll see I'm reading 4 of those text inputs, and at the very bottom of this transfer object, there's 4 new fields. One's called string length. I'm telling it only read 40. And what that'll do is, instead of it being a variable length string, in a variable length string, CPC has to first read that LEN data type to determine how many characters there are, and then read those characters. Okay. Now, because I'm predefining the length, it doesn't have to do that initial read. And then I'm going to say that there are 4 individual substrings in there, and then each one has a length of 10. Okay, so this will tell CPC how to parse out that string. And what it will do is, it will, in essence, so here I'm going to, let me just initialize my communications and come over to text inputs. I'm just going to do a transfer, okay, and no error. So if I look underneath now, I'm going to see that it's read. Actually, I've got a force value in there. Let me transfer again. Okay, so I've got AA, BB, CZ, DD. So it's reading each string, but underneath it, it's created 4 unique tag objects, and each one has the parsed values. So in this case, you would, if you wanted to transfer those values somewhere, you would just put an object path, and that would get transferred over to that specific variable or wherever you want that to go. Okay, so what this does now is, in essence, I'm reading, in this case, 16 10-character strings, and the performance is about 20 milliseconds, which is pretty good. So it's much quicker than reading fixed length strings. Okay, and so that is those are the 2 changes. The only other change was that the 10.16 version had a problem with the client not attaching to the server. I think that's been fixed. So anyway, good luck. Thanks.